Mike Nattrass, UK Independence Party MEP for the West Midlands. What's the issue here? Why are you so concerned about egg producers in your patch?
Because a lot of money has been spent by egg producers in order to comply with EU directive, which clicks in on the 1st of January 2012. And when I say a lot of money, I mean millions. One of my constituents, more than £10 million, to demolish what he's got and upgrade and put decent facilities in for chickens. Now, if the EU backpedal and say, oh, we're going to give more time to other countries who haven't complied, and for example, the Spanish haven't complied, the Romanians, the Bulgarians, France in part hasn't complied, Italy hasn't complied, those eggs are still going to be on the market if they backpedal on the 1st of January 2012, and they will undercut our product in Britain because we have spent all that capital to comply, which adds about 15 pence a dozen to the cost of eggs. Is that fair? I mean, it means that eggs from outlawed cages will be marketed in Britain, and actually the Spanish have a major salmonella problem. We don't want their eggs, thank you very much, and I think we should stick with the legislation as it stands and make sure that it's complied with on the 1st of January 2012.
And what kind of changes was this legislation supposed to bring in across Europe? What kind of changes has that farmer in your patch, for example, made?
It's better facilities actually for battery cage chickens. It gives them more space, so there's less chickens and bigger cages, and it's also ventilation and the general way in which they're treated. I've actually inspected the one in Shropshire, and as far as I can see, the chickens are very happy. I couldn't really interview them very well, but they looked happy and they sounded happy, and a hell of a lot better than the ones in the outlawed chicken cages where they tend to peck each other.
And what about the farm owner in your constituency in Shropshire? How is he left feeling when you tell him that actually his competitors might be given extra time to comply with these regulations?
Well, the chances are, if that does happen across the board, a lot of British producers will go out of business because they cannot compete. And if there is this shortfall, the cheap eggs are going to come into the country, illegal cheap eggs, and it will put the farmers out of business in Britain. Quite simply, that is the bottom line. It's already happened to the pig industry. They had the same problem where there were rules that they implemented, because in Britain we do tend to do things when we're told, as do the Germans, as do the Dutch, as do the Danes, but there are other countries who just totally ignore the rules.
So what can you do as an MEP representing this farmer in Shropshire and others to make this point?
We've brought forward this written declaration in the Parliament for MEPs to sign who are concerned that this legislation will be delayed, and that's here now for their signatures. If sufficient sign, it will be debated in the Parliament, and hopefully pressure will be put on the Parliament to do as they say they will do. But what is the point? What is the point of complying to EU regulations if they don't implement them? It just means you go out of business for doing what you're told.
And what about consumers in the West Midlands? Do you think this is something, I mean, it's an animal welfare issue, and we're always told by MEPs this is something consumers feel passionate about. Do you think they wouldn't want to eat these eggs coming in from these countries that haven't complied?
If they knew, they wouldn't want them, but they won't know, will they? Because they'll be packaged with the other eggs, and they won't be marked to say that this is from an illegal cage, will they? So the situation is that yes, it is for the benefit of chickens. I am in favour of that, obviously, and it's a shame, isn't it, that it looks as if they're going to let it slip, and the people who are doing the right thing are going to be those who are out of business.
What do you think your chances, yourself and Nikki Sinclair, of heading off this extension and sort of protecting those producers in the West Midlands?
Well, I think you'll find that the MEPs from countries who have complied will sign the declaration. So we expect the Germans, the Dutch, the Danes, the Finnish, the Scandinavians in general to sign. But I bet we won't get any from Spain. And that's the problem here with the EU, isn't it? Because they tend to want to run other people's businesses in other countries, and if they don't do these things, they're not going to vote for it, are they? are they? It's the same as the City of London. They don't know anything about finance, some of these MEPs. They come from countries that don't do it, but they're quite happy to vote on the subject and close us down.